Thabile, thank you very much for joining me today. How are you doing?
I am doing superliciously fantabulous, Lily. And how are you doing?
I'm doing really well, and I'm always very happy to hear you say that. So, Thabile, I actually wanted to talk to you about risk leadership, and I wanted to talk to you about, especially about how it's transforming as a result of coming out of the pandemic. So, what's coming up?
Yeah. So you know what, Lily, that's actually a very good question. So as risk functions, we were elevated to be from more of a supporting role that creates efficiency to now a differentiating role that will increase effectiveness. So as risk leaders, we were pushed to the front to help our organizations not only navigate through the crisis, but thrive through them as well. We had to be in the forefront and guide and influence the decision making. So nowadays, we can no longer be about analyzing the risks, but we have to get involved in leading the initiatives, and in most cases, be the identifiers and even the drivers of some of the opportunities. So I'm just going to share with you an example of how we did it as Old Mutual Insure during the pandemic. So we realized that the business will focus mostly on surviving through the crisis. So we stood in the gap and spotted few opportunities because we understood that some of our staff were going to, have extra capacity because they might not have been used fully. So we started to suggest that we can use them for doing things like the data cleanup and also second them to other functions that might be needing more capacity. Thereby, we're also assisting them to cross-skill themselves. We also understood that, the 4IR will definitely be fast-tracked, and our distribution and engagement models will then change, and subsequently needing new skills as well. So we then proposed upskilling our people. So risk management actually became a core business for almost all our organizations, for all organizations basically, since the outbreak of the pandemic, and this positions risk management as an essential business workflow. So coming out of the pandemic, Lily, we have to carry on playing this role. Times ahead are very uncertain. I'm sure we all appreciate that. So the business, more than ever, will need us to guide them through these times of uncertainty as risk management fraternity. We have to ensure that the business is well positioned to proactively identify the threats and seize the opportunities. And going forward, we will be expected to sit in the center of innovation, or other people call them cross-functional teams, because the companies understand that with the ever-changing operating model, their businesses are facing both threats and opportunities. So while the business is facing down to navigate through and come out of the pandemic, we have to continuously look up in the horizon to see what's coming, identify and analyze the emerging risks and trends, and not only identify them, but assess their impact, and also assess how aware are the businesses around these emerging trends and risks, and mostly how ready are they. So I believe that this really positions us to be the trusted business partners and also trusted business advisors.
Sounds like a really bright future ahead of the risk management function and the risk management teams around the world. But before we look to the horizon, as you say, I wanted to maybe understand the things that have become obsolete or lesser qualities, or qualities that are not as desirable in leadership from before. Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, that's a very tricky one, hey? But in my view, I would say, being profit-driven and ignoring other pillars of sustainability, which is the people and the planet, is getting obsolete. Organizations now are assessed on how they're dealing with people and what contributions are they making to the society as well. So if we're still pushing as leaders that we're just gonna build the businesses and we actually forget about the people, then we are missing the plot completely. Because we have to remember that we don't have to build the business now anymore as the leaders, but we have to build the people, and ultimately people build the businesses. Also, we understand that the changes, it's so rapid. So we can't then as leaders just sit and react to the changes, but we need to shape the impact. As I always say, the best way of predicting the future is to create it. We have to start to create that future that we want our organizations to be in. And also for the fact that we want the organizations to focus on profits, people, and the planet, we also, as the leaders, require to have that high emotional intelligence, indeed high IQ, but also social intelligence. We need the leaders that are going to understand the social environment and knowing others while keeping their own identity as well, and react appropriately for social successful conduct. So yeah, in my view, I really believe that, we need the leaders that are really going to be having quite a lot of high IQs, call it IQ, EQ, and SQ being the social intelligence and even cultural intelligence as well.
Absolutely. ESG matters are becoming more and more central nowadays. So looking to the horizon and the future, as a CRO yourself, how do you see this risk leadership evolve in the long term then, considering that it has become a lot more central for businesses?
Yeah, so as EMSA, which is my institute, it stands for Institute of Risk Management South Africa, we have a theme for this year, and it says, step up, now is the time. So we're actually challenging the risk leaders to step up. Step up and be the catalyst and the game changers. We ought to be the voice of reason that continuously remind the business what we are trying to achieve through our strategies. And also just to keep on reminding them what we want our organizations to look like at the end of it all. As the leaders, as the risk leaders, we have to also continuously provide the clarity and show the business the whole elephant. I say this because, the business always look at the elephant from their perspective only, but we have to bring it in and look at the elephant in its, to look at it holistically. So I always challenge them to step up and have an innovative mindset. We have to, as leaders, we need to do things quite differently. And we have to continuously question our very own assumptions, and our own thinking, and stress test them to check if they still hold true today. And we also need to drive those courageous conversations, as the risk leaders. It's not always easy, but we need to be having those courageous conversations in our boardrooms and have those strategic conversations as well, wherever it is possible for us to have them. Because as I've already said, sustainability is no longer about profits, but people and planet too. So we also know the fact that we'll be leading in this evolving and transforming era. So we also have got to have our finger on the pulse and be able to lead from all sides. We need to be able to lead from the back. We should be able to lead on the sides and also be able to lead from the front as we become the pathfinders of the future. So for me, then, Lily, really, resilience and adaptability are the leaders' superpowers that enable us as leaders to lead in a bold, empathic, and ethical way. So just to conclude on this one, I believe that we need to have a strong will as leaders. We need to have excellent communication and constant refinement of this situation that we know constantly changes and that we don't even know how it's going to look like, and that keeps on unfolding as well.
Thabile, thank you very much for joining me today. It's always a pleasure to speak with you.
Thank you very much, Lily. Have a beautiful day.